small town is on high alert after several close encounters with a coyote. A man was chased around cars in a driveway last Thursday, and separately, a 12-year-old was attacked just yesterday. Good evening. This 12-year-old named Rocco is the boy who was bitten.
And he talked to CTV News at his home in Nobleton today. CTV's Mike Walker is there this evening. He joins us live. And Mike, I'm sure Rocco has quite the story to tell.
He sure does, Michelle and Raheem. Rocco was sitting on the curb outside his home when he was attacked by the coyote, and we are learning from town officials that this is one of 2 incidents in the past week.
He has 4, 2 in the front and 2 in the back. The coyote basically got a hold of his leg from this side.
12-year-old Rocco Mora is recovering at home with 4 puncture wounds to his left leg after he was bitten by a coyote.
I just feel 2 big teeth on the side of my leg.
Rocco was sitting on the curb outside his Nobleton home Sunday afternoon waiting for a friend to come over for his birthday party when he says the coyote seen in this neighbor's photo after the attack came out of nowhere.
And I just started running. The coyote kind of like chased me. But then when I was like on my front porch, he kind of like just started staring at me. And then when I got in the house, he ran away.
Came running, screaming inside the house, saying, "Mommy, Mommy, I got bit by a coyote. I got bit by a coyote." And I started screaming.
He was treated in hospital for his injuries, plus rabies. His mom says coyotes are known to roam in Nobleton, but in the 14 years they've lived here, they have never heard of an attack like this.
It's not like it was provoked. He was just sitting there on his phone. They said he was very lucky. It could have been way worse. Had he have made himself smaller to the coyote, it would have been worse because then the coyote would have been less intimidated by him and probably mauled him more.
Recently, there have been multiple coyote sightings and close calls with residents and pets. In this home security video, a man can be seen running for safety from a coyote in his driveway. In another video, neighbors are seen holding golf clubs trying to scare a coyote away. Jyoti Kingra says her dog was attacked last week. Fortunately, the injuries were only minor.
This is really scary because this is like a 4-legged animal. It's aggressive, it may be hungry, who knows what's going on.
Dave Boyd is a local town councillor and says on Thursday a 17-year-old girl was also attacked but didn't require hospitalization.
At this time, we believe that there's only one coyote that has had the human interactions.
These incidents prompting the town to work with the Toronto Wildlife Centre and Vaughan Animal Services on a response plan.
This is a public safety concern at this point, so our plan is to locate and secure the animal to remove any threat to public safety.
As for Rocco and his family, it's a traumatizing experience.
When I'm walking, it kind of hurts, but I'll manage.
You know, the last thing I want is for him to be afraid to go outside and ride his bike or go outside and play with his friends.
He has more medical appointments and is expected to make a full recovery. Now, following these incidents, the town has put out a notice urging residents to exercise caution, not to approach the coyotes or feed them or leave food out on their front lawns, something they say is contributing to incidents like this. Reporting live, I'm Mike Walker. Raheem, back to you.
Thank you, Mike. And there is breaking news from the Toronto Maple Leafs.
After 9 years in blue and white, Mitch Marner is moving on. TSN reporting the star forward is being dealt to the Vegas Golden Knights in a sign-and trade. The pending unrestricted free agent will earn an average of $12 million per season for 8 years. TSN says if the deal goes through, Toronto will get forward Nicholas Roy in return. This deal allows the Leafs to get something in exchange for the 28-year-old Thornhill native instead of just seeing him sign elsewhere as a free agent. Marner had 27 goals and 102 points last season. NHL free agency begins tomorrow. Well, the first ever concert for the new Rogers Stadium in Downsview Park got mixed reviews.
Not for the performers, but for the crowd control after the event. CTV John Woodward joins us now at Downsview Park. And John, what are the concert goers telling you?
Raheem, they tell me they felt stranded, stuck in crowds that didn't seem to move as a plan to move 50,000 people in a hurry seemed to fall apart.
The debut act at Rogers Stadium was the K-pop supergroup The Stray Kids.
The guys were great. They really put on a show.
But it ended on a sour note, said fans like Princess Zoe.
Definitely, there was a lot more people than they could handle.
She took this video of the crowds, some 50,000 concert goers herded through the narrow channels from the concert venue near the Downsview Airport to the nearby subway and GO train stations.
It was bottlenecking everyone through these fenced-in areas, and already reading comments from the TikTok that I posted, people were fainting or like falling down.
When the concert began, fans could show up over several hours, but when it ended, the entire stadium seemed to let out at once. Overwhelming transit, said one neighborhood group.
Everybody got let out at the same time, and it was just mayhem.
No stranger to crowd incidents, Live Nation settled out of court after a crowd crush at the Astro World Festival in Houston, Texas in 2021 left 10 people dead. That company may face the music in a meeting this week with Toronto Councillor James Pasternak.
This provides a lot of value to the city and entertainment to the city. It supports our cultural industry, but it must be safe, it must be operational.
Police said they didn't get called, and the city says while they received 7 noise-related complaints, measurements by bylaw officers found the noise was within permitted levels.
With the next concerts that's coming up, they need to figure out a better way for everyone to exit safely and quickly.
One of those concerts coming up in a week, the only Canadian stop for Coldplay's world tour.
Now, we did reach out to Live Nation, and they did say that they were going to send us a statement. We don't have it yet. I imagine they'll have more to say to the city councillor on Wednesday. Reporting live from Downsview Pike, I'm John Woodward. Back to you.
Thanks for that, John. Still to come, there are concerns a new traffic light is actually creating more peril at this Mississauga intersection. That's what nearby residents are telling us after a sudden spike in the number of crashes. CTV's John Musselman will have that story.
A live look outside this evening. Actually, we've got it right on the map there as we say goodbye, Lindsay, to the month of June, and we welcome July tomorrow. Fair share of heat and humidity today, and then all behind you, all those unsettled conditions.
Yes, so let's get right to it. Here's a look at the satellite and radar. We are getting soaking rain in parts of the GTA, including around Oakville and Burlington, where there has been some thunder and lightning. I want to show you just a little bit further north. We've had near stationary storms impacting areas like Meaford over toward Collingwood, and now impacting the Midland Penetanguishene area. So some of these rainfall totals in those areas could be around 50 millimeters by the time all is said and done. This is where we also find severe thunderstorm warnings. We had a tornado warning earlier today in the London area. We'll have more on that coming up a little later in the newscast. Winds coming out of the south and east, depending on where you are. Temperatures, yeah, we're starting to cool down with the arrival of that wet weather. Here's tonight at a glance. We've got your Canada Day forecast coming up. For now, though, Raheem, over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Now to a labor dispute at the CN Tower.
While attractions like the Edge Walk continue to operate, the people who work in food services are out on the sidewalk. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been speaking with the members of Unifor and joins us now live with the latest. Beth.
Michelle, CN Tower hospitality workers have been out on the picket line at the base of the CN Tower all day. They're worried about their financial stability in the future. QP members joined CN Tower hospitality workers this afternoon who were chanting slogans instead of serving food and beverages to visitors. Canada Lands, the federal crown corporation operating the attraction, locked out 250 full and part-time employees after a deal was presented Thursday and talks broke down, causing a disruption at the start of Toronto's busy summer tourist season.
I think that stinks. I'm glad they're advocating for themselves. It's really sad.
Taking in spectacular views is not a problem, although its rotating dining room, 360 restaurant, and its kiosks, View Bistros, and Le Cafe are closed.
Visitors can still take the elevators up to the observation decks. The Edge Walk and shops remain open. During the labor dispute, guests can bring their own food and beverages.
Both sides have been negotiating since April. The union says many workers earn minimum wage, and the main issues are pensions, which have gone 15 years without improvements, along with wages and health and safety issues. Some of the key terms include annual wage increases of 3% in 2025 and 2026 and 2.5% in 2027, and improvements to our comprehensive employee benefits and pension protection. Unfortunately, the union chose not to respond, the company told CTV News in an email. But the union says things unfolded differently.
That's actually not true. So we were in bargaining all day on Thursday with the presence of a conciliation officer. The company in the end gave us a take it or leave it offer that the committee felt like they could not accept.
In its defense, the company says the union filed a request with the Ministry of Labour, triggering a countdown to allow a legal strike or lockout today, and adds if there was a strike, it wouldn't be able to serve customers with the same quality standards.
That's really disappointing. I mean, it's essential to get food and snacks. We didn't notice a big difference, and we had fun.
The company says it's open and ready to negotiate, and the union says it's happy to get back to the table. But there's no clear sign when that will be.
Hospitality workers say their contract expired at the end of May. Reporting live at the CN Tower, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle and Raheem, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Police in York Region have charged a man accused of threatening a youth. CTV News first reported the incident that is alleged to have occurred on June 20th. A parent allegedly made violent threats against a player on the opposing team when a sideline confrontation escalated during a girls' soccer game. The match was then called off. The opposing team has categorically rejected the claims, saying they are inaccurate and misleading. Gianni Luciani of Vaughan has been charged with 1 count of uttering threats.
It was a slow go for drivers on Highway 400 today. A serious crash involving a motorcycle and a transport truck blocked the southbound lanes this morning near Aurora Road. One person has been taken to hospital, and traffic was snarled for hours. Talks are now back on in the trade dispute between Canada and the U.S.
That was confirmed by both sides today after Ottawa decided to drop the controversial digital services tax. CTV's senior political correspondent Michael Couture reports.
Prime Minister Mark Carney says discussions between Canada and the U.S. restarted this morning after a call with President Donald Trump last night. But the way the Americans are framing it is very different.
It's very simple. Prime Minister Carney in Canada caved.
A blunt assessment of how it all played out from the White House. The two leaders spoke late last night, and then Canada announced it was rescinding the digital services tax. Carney said removing it was part of a bigger negotiation.
It doesn't make sense to collect tax from people and then remit them back. So it provides some certainty.
The DST was intended to collect tax from big tech companies that make money off Canadian users but don't pay Canadian taxes. Carney says the two sides will now work towards negotiating a full trade deal by July 21st.
The White House says you caved. Is that how it went down?
The Prime Minister wouldn't answer that, but the Canadian Chamber of Commerce applauds the move, pointing to the bigger picture negotiation.
$3.6 billion worth of trade crosses our border every single day with the United States. We can't afford to play with that. We need to make sure we secure that.
Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre believes Carney should have got something in return. Writing on X, in exchange, the Prime Minister should insist that the U.S. immediately rescind softwood lumber tariffs, adding, we need to make gains for our workers in these talks.
They forced the U.S.'s hand.
Michael Geist specializes in internet and e-commerce law. He says Canada needs smarter tech regulation than to just make web giants pay up.
We've too often looked at these companies as akin to almost like a policy ATM, where we're anxious to do withdrawals to help fund some of our policy objectives, but we haven't really factored in the costs associated with this and some of the potential negative consequences that might come about.
Now, rescinding the DST would require an act of Parliament, but the Prime Minister's office says instead of recalling the House, the government will simply stop collecting the tax until they can remove it altogether. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
Pierre Poilievre can officially start the countdown to his next political race. The Conservative Party leader and former MP now knows the date for the upcoming Alberta by-election, where he'll seek to make a return to the House of Commons. CTV's Colton Prale has the details.
It's been exactly 9 weeks since election night when Pierre Poilievre stood in this building and told his supporters he would never give up fighting for them. But 24 hours later, it was clear if he wanted to continue that fight, he'd need a new seat in the House of Commons. Now we know when he might get it. In the wake of his election win, Mark Carney promised no political games around by-elections that could return Pierre Poilievre to the House of Commons, and sooner than required under election law. Today, the Prime Minister announced the vote in the Alberta riding of Battle River Crowfoot will take place Monday, August 18th, before parliamentarians return to the House of Commons in September. The riding in southern Alberta on the border of Saskatchewan is a Conservative stronghold.
Well, he has to run somewhere, and of course this riding is probably the most secure riding.
The area we're in is very Conservative, so it's probably better that it stays that way.
Damien Currick held the riding since 2019 before resigning his position earlier this month to give Poilievre a chance to win, and the chance is strong. Currick won the riding with nearly 83% of the vote and more than 46,000 ballots ahead of the second-place Liberal candidate. CTV News reached out to the Liberal Party to see if they're planning on running a candidate in the upcoming by-election, but didn't receive a response by deadline. Even if Poilievre doesn't end up facing Liberal opposition, he could still face plenty of others. The group behind a protest that led to 91 candidates running in his Carleton riding last time around say they're planning for an even bigger slate of candidates in the upcoming Alberta by-election. Colton Prale, CTV News, Ottawa.
Police in Idaho believe a suspected gunman set a wildfire and then opened fire on firefighters when they arrived.
We do believe that the suspect started the fire, and we do believe that it was an ambush.
2 firefighters were killed in the ambush and a third was injured. The firefighters were responding to the wildfire early Sunday afternoon near Coeur d'Alene. Law enforcement officials locked down neighborhoods, eventually finding the shooter using cell phone data. They found one man dead at the scene with a weapon nearby. Former FBI agent Ken Gray says it's rare for firefighters to face a violent attack.
To set a fire, to purposefully ambush these firefighters. They don't come with any type of protection. They don't have security. They show up with the idea that they are going to save lives and put out fires. And so perhaps that is something that we will have to start looking into about whether or not security needs to accompany firefighters wherever they deploy, both inside cities and out in a rural area like this.
Investigators say the gunman acted alone and they're still looking for a motive.
Deliberations are underway in the sex trafficking trial for rapper Sean Diddy Combs. Combs is charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The jury members include 8 men and 4 women. They are weighing the charges, which could put Combs in prison for life if he is found guilty of the most serious charge.
Police in Hamilton have now completed their search of a landfill as part of the probe into a Hamilton woman's death. Investigators say they found Shalini Singh's partial remains in the Glanbrook landfill back in May. The 40-year-old was reported missing last December, and police had been scouring the landfill since late February. Singh's boyfriend, Jeffrey Smith, was charged with second-degree murder earlier this month. Police say no additional human remains were found, and they have no information to support continuing the search.
A home under renovation in Etobicoke has been gutted after a fire broke out early this morning. Firefighters were called to the home on Martin Grove Road, south of Rathburn Road, shortly after 3 a.m. CP24's Steve Ryan was on the scene.
Toronto Fire tell us that they received several 911 calls just after 3:15 this morning regarding this 2 alarm blaze at 226 Martin Grove Road. I am told that this house was empty at the time. It was undergoing a complete renovation, but now the entire house has been gutted, and as you can see, nothing remains but the shell of this home. It's still an active investigation. Toronto Fire have their investigators on scene, and they will determine the cause, origin, and circumstances surrounding this fire. There's no word yet as to what was the cause of the fire or if it was intentionally set. That'll be all part of this investigation. Active scene right now. Thankfully, we can report that there was nobody in the home at the time, so there were no injuries to report. I'll send it back to you.
Next to Mississauga, where some residents say newly installed traffic lights are actually doing the opposite of what they were intended.
As CTV's John Musselman explains, there are fears about safety on the roads.
Karai Ozen has lived in this Mississauga neighborhood for 12 years. He says ever since a traffic light was installed last year here at this intersection at Eglinton Avenue West and Perennial Drive, accidents have gone way up.
And we've had accidents on
maybe 1, 2, 3 months. Last 6 weeks, there have been 3 accidents.
The most recent was last week when a car ended up in some bushes. This video was shot by a neighbor. And back in May, there was a devastating crash involving an SUV and a motorcycle. This is video from a doorbell camera that picked up the sound of the crash.
Around midnight, we heard a big bang, and then I went outside. I saw a person laying here, and so I'm not sure if he flew from the motorbike to the side of the road, but it was terrible to see.
Peel police say the victim was rushed to hospital in critical condition, but he did survive. Still, neighbors say it highlights the issue here.
The main thing is the left turns here from Eglinton. So either, I don't think it's possible to put in dedicated left turn lanes. That would be number one best option, but I don't think they can do that. Number two would be just to make left turns illegal and make sure they monitor that no one's doing left turns, because they're really blind left turns, especially when there's a lot of traffic.
It was original complaints about safety that led Mississauga to install the traffic light after conducting a survey. Local councillors say they're taking the concerns of residents seriously. Quote, "Safety is my top priority. I am working closely with residents and city traffic staff on measures to make the road and intersections safer." And Councillor Sue McFadden has requested a review of the intersection, including collision history since the traffic signal was installed, with the aim of providing safety improvements. Neighbors say another big problem, like many roads in the GTA, is speeding drivers. They are calling for the installation of automated speed enforcement cameras. Currently, those cameras are located exclusively in school areas and community safety zones. John Musselman, CTV News in Mississauga.
Toronto played host to a royal visitor today. A police boat with Prince Edward on board arrived at HMCS York on Lakeshore Boulevard West. The Duke chatted with service members before heading inside to see various displays and exhibitions of the Naval Reserve Unit. The King's youngest brother received a tour before sitting down for a private lunch. He also visited the Hastings and Prince Edward Regiment, of which he is Colonel-in-Chief. And earlier in the day, the Prince toured the Toronto Police Marine Unit on Queens Quay West. He learned about specialized equipment and spoke with frontline members of the unit. The Duke was also shown a variety of vessels, boarding one of them for a tour on the water. His next stop is Ottawa, where he will attend Canada Day celebrations tomorrow. And prior to arriving in Toronto, the Prince spent 3 days on Prince Edward Island.
Get your red and white ready. Coming up, we'll give you the lay of the land ahead of tomorrow's Canada Day festivities. Lots to do and see in the city as we celebrate our beloved country.
I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, will you be having some icy drinks to celebrate Canada Day? If you are, you now have the option to buy your own portable ice maker. Or if you're using ice from your fridge, make sure it doesn't have a strange, smelly taste. There's a reason it might. All of that story, that's just ahead.
Only months left in the month of June, only hours, I should say. And here's a look at what we will remember June for. That first day of the month, it was chilly. Temperature only about 5 degrees. But of course, we had a significant heat wave. And we also picked up only about half of our average amount of rainfall. We expect to pick up around 74 millimeters in July and see that average daytime high. That's what we can expect for much of the first week. Stay with us. A look at your 7-day forecast is coming up.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400 from your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Amid the summer heat, a must-have is a steady supply of ice on hand for your drinks.
But if you've ever had ice that doesn't taste quite right or smells, you know it's not cool. Here's Pat Foran with a chilly consumer alert.
Portable ice makers have become a must-have item for many backyard parties. They make sure you have fresh ice every time. If you have ice cubes that have been hanging around your fridge too long, they can pick up odors from food like your leftover lasagna. Countertop ice makers have become popular for home, office, or RVs. They've now become a multi-million-dollar industry. No matter how you make it, keeping ice fresh is key.
Stinky ice is no fun. It's really just a great way to ruin a nice drink.
It's a common issue, and your refrigerator may be to blame.
This usually happens when ice has been sitting in your ice maker or ice bin for several weeks, and it's had a long time to absorb the smells of the food that's in your fridge.
It's especially common in older single evaporator models.
Cold air passes between the freezer and fresh food compartments, making it easier for your ice to get smelly.
If this happens, dump the bin and start fresh.
If some of it smells, likely all of it smells.
Then clean the bin. If it's not dishwasher safe, wash it by hand with baking soda and warm water. You can also add baking soda near the ice to help absorb odors. If you make ice the old school way, skip silicone trays. They can absorb fridge odors and make ice taste funny. Instead, Consumer Reports recommends Rubbermaid's plastic trays or OXO models with a lid. When it comes to ice makers, this top-rated GE model is fast, quiet, but pricey. Newair's Nugget Maker didn't land as high in the ratings, but is more budget-friendly. If bullet ice is your thing, testers like this Vivo home model. It doesn't take much to keep your ice fresh, so every drink hits the spot this summer. And countertop ice cube makers need to be cleaned to prevent mold and mildew, and so do ice cube trays. Washing them once a month can also help keep that smelly ice away. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
Environment Canada meteorologists were tracking a severe thunderstorm that may have produced a tornado north of London today. This woman says the powerful winds tossed debris around her farm.
It was almost like a freight train. And I thought, what is coming at this house? So I turned and looked south. I saw the funnel and I heard it, and all the debris, all the old tin, everything was flying in the air. So I screamed. My daughter's home today, and I said, oh my gosh, honey, there's a tornado. I'm in awe. Like, it hasn't really clicked that there's an actual tornado that we're watching.
Terrifying. The woman says no one was hurt. The tornado watch was issued for London, Park Hill, and eastern Middlesex County. And you often think about tornadoes, something you see in the south, but they certainly happen, and we had some ingredients today.
And it happens so quickly, right? You can be driving and the conditions are sunny, and then all of a sudden, like that, you don't have time to react.
It's interesting because everyone has a smartphone these days, so there were all kinds of pictures and videos that started popping up from that area, Lucan specifically. Now Environment Canada will assess whether or not that funnel actually did touch the ground or not, but 'tis the season, and we're tracking a few more thunderstorms as we speak right now. No tornado warnings in place, but severe thunderstorm warnings are still in place. And we're going to begin with a look at what it looked like earlier today here in the GTA, because my goodness, we had a beautiful start to the day. We had sunshine, and as a result, beaches were packed around the region. Look at that. Nice way to spend perhaps what for some is a long or extra long weekend. Worth pointing out that, yeah, people are in the water, and caution was advised today in places like Marie Curtis Park, East Beach, and Sunnyside Beach. Elsewhere, it was a green flag for today. I do want to mention that with this rain that we're getting in some areas, you'll want to perhaps check out the beach conditions again before you venture out into the water. There's the severe thunderstorm warnings that I was talking about around Midland, Penetanguishene, Thunder Beach, and then also areas like Collingwood and over toward Meaford. We've had steady thunderstorms in this area. They've been almost stationary, which when that happens, heavy rain soaks the region for a long period of time. That warning of the fact that 50 millimeters of rain could be possible by the time all is said and done there. Parts of cottage country getting soaked at this hour, thunder and lightning too. And then the GTA, we've been getting some much needed rain. I mentioned just before the break that we had just over half of our average June rainfall amounts. So I think lawns and gardens are ready for a little bit more. Into tomorrow, a drier day overall, but we're not in the clear. We're still going to see a chance of a passing shower or storm. There's about 10 o'clock tonight, so yeah, this will be on and off through the evening hours today. We start off with a bit of cloud cover tomorrow morning. Then we're going to get a mix of sun and cloud. This is about 3 p.m. The models are indicating a quick passing shower or storm. It all clears out in time for your Canada Day fireworks, which we will get to shortly. And then Wednesday, a drier day overall, mix of sun and cloud. and conditions are looking pretty pleasant as we make our way through those first few days of July after Canada Day. It's 28 degrees in Windsor, feeling like 39, but a heat warning has now come to an end. We are going to be warm overnight tonight in Toronto. 20 degrees will feel more like 27 at the height of the day. And then tomorrow's daytime highs are expected to be in the mid to upper 20s, depending on where you are. Again, some areas will escape with a mostly dry day. If you're spending Canada Day in parts of cottage country, there's a look at what you can expect tonight and tomorrow. And then at Ashbridges Bay for tomorrow at about 10 p.m., we can expect the temperature to be around 22 degrees. And yes, we are expecting clear skies. Here is the 7-day forecast. Beyond that, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, even Saturday, mix of sun and cloud, temperatures right where we expect them to be in early July. Temperatures in the upper 20s, overnight lows in the teens, 30 degrees by the time we reach next Saturday. Just an early heads up that it looks like our next round of perhaps some showers or rainfall could come as early as next Sunday. That's the weather for now. And Raheem, I'll send it over to you.
Thanks, Lindsay. Well, if you're looking for a way to enjoy Canada Day, you can't go wrong in Toronto or the GTA.
CTV's Jessica Smith reports on your guide to the holiday.
As we get ready to say so long to June and hello to July in Canada Day, residents and visitors to the city are getting ready to celebrate.
Just going to be relaxed, going to be visit downtown and going to some restaurants.
And if there's one thing Toronto knows how to do, that's throw a party. If you're heading down to the waterfront to catch the fireworks Tuesday night, the show begins around 10:45 p.m.
Obviously, the number one place where it'll be busiest will be right at the Harbourfront Centre site, but there's also places like right here at HTO Park where you'll be able to see them. So even if you want to be more ambitious, you could go over to the Toronto Island side. I know those ferries run until almost midnight.
For the thrill seekers, maybe Canada's Wonderland is where you'll be celebrating the country's 158th birthday.
I'll ask my parents to go to like Wonderland and do some like fun stuff.
Or maybe you'll take a walk on the wild side at the Toronto Zoo.
We've got lots of amazing animals for guests to see. We have Explorer Bear who's visiting with guests. We're handing out Canada Day flags and of course so many animals and our guardians of wild keeper talks.
No matter where you'll be, the sentiment and celebrations will be the same as many get ready to say,
Happy Canada Day!
If you're taking transit, the TTC will operate on a Sunday service schedule for Canada Day starting at 6 a.m. and GO Transit will operate on a Saturday schedule. For a full list of what's closed and what's open on Canada Day and where you can find all the fireworks celebrations across the city, you can visit our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca. Jessica Smith, CTV News.
The Maple Leafs are betting big on their young power forward. Matthew Nyes inks a fresh deal to stay in blue and white. When we come back, we'll detail his contract and another Leafs trade.
Well, in addition to Mitch Marner being on the move, the Toronto Maple Leafs have signed forward Matthew Nyes to an extension. TSN is reporting the 22-year-old has agreed to a 6-year extension worth nearly $8 million per season. Nyes has been with the Leafs since the 2022-23 season. He racked up 58 points in 78 regular season games last year. Meantime, the Leafs acquired forward Matias Maccelli from the Mammoth today, going the other way as a conditional third-round draft pick in 2027. The 24-year-old Finn had 8 goals and 10 assists for Utah last season. He had a career-high 57 points in 2023-24. Maccelli will make more than $3.4 million next season.
The Blue Jays wrapped up their series with the Boston Red Sox yesterday afternoon.
And Barcher sends one deep down the right field line. It is gone.
The Jays took a 2-run lead with back-to-back homers in the first inning. The team added to their lead with a run in the 5th inning. They ended up winning the game 5-3. The Jays are home tonight to open a 4-game series with the New York Yankees. The opening pitch is at 7:07 p.m.
The Argonauts were looking for their first win of the season when they took on the Ottawa Red Blacks last night.
Second and goal, Arbuckle. Taking it to Bro. Big guy. Touchdown.
The Argos jumped out to an 18-0 lead in the second quarter. The team ended up winning the game 29-16. The Argos are back in the field Friday to play the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
And the FIFA World Cup trophy was officially welcomed to Canada today. Prime Minister Carney posed for photos with young soccer players during an event in the nation's capital. Toronto is hosting 6 matches, kicking off on June 12th, 2026. It will feature Canada's men's national team in the first ever World Cup match in this country. A new live-in addictions treatment center is offering new hope for people in the Peterborough area.
Our health reporter Pauline Chan has the details.
Right now, people seeking residential addictions treatment in the Peterborough area must travel to Oshawa, Barrie, or even Kingston for help. But the newly renovated Paddock Wood location, part of the 4 Counties Addiction Services team, or Forecast, will soon begin offering those services closer to home.
There's not a greater need than this right now in our community. It truly was a community effort, and it has taken us far too long to get to this point.
An emotional MPP, Dave Smith, attended a tour of the new facility. From January to May 2025, Peterborough Public Health recorded 17 drug-related deaths and 47 deaths over the past 12 months. The new centre will house 2 programs. The first, an addictions treatment service, followed by a withdrawal management program soon after. The centre will operate 24/7 and only house male clients,
where individuals can focus on recovery without the distractions and triggers of daily life. This allows for intensive therapy, healing, and the development of coping mechanisms, ultimately improving long-term outcomes on a person's recovery journey.
There are a total of 12 private beds, 6 for each program, with several common spaces. And Executive Director Donna Rogers says the location is particularly suited for healing.
The location is so idyllic. It is, we have beautiful property here. It is, the most beautiful of the Kawarthas.
Recruitment of staff is still underway, but they plan to open for clients in the near future. And a year from now, Smith expects success at Paddock Wood will result in expansion.
You can bet I will be at the minister's door saying, I need 12 more beds.
The renovation of the former Canadian Mental Health Association building was supported through funding from the province, the City of Peterborough, and Peterborough County. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
After the break, locked and loaded and leveling up on local spending. The world's top Call of Duty teams compete for ultimate glory. We'll take you to the esports event that drew crowds, scoring big tourism dollars.
We're now on the moves by the Toronto Maple Leafs in the end of an era for the Leafs core 4.
The Buds have agreed to a sign-in trade with Marner and Vegas just hours before he would have become a free agent. TSN is reporting Marner will earn an average of $12 million per season for 8 years. In return, Toronto will get forward Nicholas Roy, and the deal allows the Leafs to get something in exchange for the 28-year-old Thornhill native instead of just seeing him sign elsewhere as a free agent.
How did it finally all come together?
Well, the fact is we're going to have to talk about it for perhaps hours longer because it's not official yet in terms of Mitch Marner being traded to the Vegas Golden Knights. But ultimately, Gino, as you know, that's what's going to happen. What has happened is the signing part of it, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs agreeing to an 8-year contract extension with Mitch Marner at $12 million per year. Now, Mitch Marner inevitably is going to be traded to the Vegas Golden Knights. In return, the Toronto Maple Leafs are expected to get Nicholas Roy. That's believed to be the return for Mitch Marner. And from a playing perspective, I think Craig Berube, the head coach of the Maple Leafs, will be okay with this. He's a third-line center. He's got pretty good hands. He's an aggressive forward. He's an all-around good player.
Coyote kind of chased me, but then when I was on my front porch, he kind of just started staring at me, and then when I got in the house, he ran away.
Among other top stories, a 12-year-old boy recounting being bitten on the leg by a coyote in Nobleton. He was sitting on a curb Sunday when the animal appeared out of nowhere. There have been many close calls with residents and pets recently, all believed to be the same animals. Authorities are now looking for them.
That's really disappointing. I mean, it's essential to get food and snacks.
250 full and part-time hospitality workers at the CN Tower have been locked out after talks broke down. Visitors can still go to the observation decks. The Edge Walk and shops remain open. Guests can also bring their own food and beverages during the labor dispute. Now to a dream come true for video game enthusiasts. The Call of Duty League Championship, one of the biggest esports tournaments in the world, chose a Canadian city to host its big event.
The tournament took over a Kitchener stadium to the delight of thousands. CTV's Hannah Schmidt takes you to the action.
The gunfire was virtual, but the adrenaline very real.
And that's another 4 dead with Omen still in control of this ball.
This wasn't just a gaming tournament, it was a global spectacle. And this weekend, the Odd in Kitchener became ground zero for competitive esports as the Call of Duty League Championship took over.
It's been fun. People have come from all over the United States, from the UK, from mainland Europe, some as far as Mexico and beyond, just to watch this event. So we're thrilled to have them.
8 of the world's most elite teams went head-to-head in a battle of reflexes, strategy, and serious stakes, all leading to Sunday's electric final matchup.
Kitchener has never seen this level of esports competition, first of its kind, and the biggest in the world for Call of Duty this year.
Prize today is like $800,000. Like, it's a big deal.
The experience of going to a CDL event is unmatched. If you are a fan of the games at all, if you want to see what the scene is like, come to one of these events. Even if you only go once, it is going to be life-changing.
I've been competing for 4 years. 4 years, and all 4 years has been a great time, and finally this year I've gotten my championships.
The weekend brought more than just gamers. It drew tourists, content creators, and digital superfans, filling hotels, supporting small businesses, and putting the city on an international map.
Our guess is somewhere between $9 to $12 million of economic activity throughout the event, and that's fantastic. That's a great scenario for a 4-day event. We couldn't be more happy.
Those within the esports community are calling it a cultural shift. What used to be seen as a subculture has hit full throttle. Esports is now stadium-worthy.
This fan base isn't just local, it's all across the country, it's all across the world.
The local gaming scene is hopeful that weekends like this become the new normal in Waterloo Region. Hannah Schmidt, CTV News, Kitchener.
Just ahead, oh Canada, you are loved. Canadians flying the flag and feeling pride even more this year, celebrating who we are and who we are not.
Tonight, holiday travel plans up in the air.
Incredibly frustrating day for passengers, incredibly frustrating day for our partners, incredibly frustrating day for us.
The critical staffing shortage that has passengers in a pinch. We'll have that story and more later on CTV National News.
A reminder, the CTV News at 6 podcast is available as a download every weeknight. And a special hello to those of you listening to the newscast live on News Talk 1010.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
As we head into another Canada Day holiday, it seems this year is different.
The Canadian flag will be flown high after repeated threats in the last several months by the U.S. president to make Canada the 51st U.S. state. CTV multimedia journalist Corey Baird reports.
Oh, Canada. For years, the world has viewed you in a certain light.
People are very kind, very tolerant.
Canadians are known for patience, understanding, and maybe being a little bit too polite.
Too polite? It seems we can thank U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs for that, not to mention all of that annexation talk.
Canada should honestly become our 51st state.
Elbows up, I say.
That expression, coined by Canadian comedian Mike Myers on Saturday Night Live, seems to capture the mood of the country. Suddenly, it's cooler than ever to be Canadian. And between poutine and the Canadian tuxedo, we've always been plenty cool. But this year, it's not just the elbows that are up.
The sense of being proud to be a Canadian was getting more muted.
The Environics Institute for Survey Research recently polled 1,600 Canadians on matters of national unity. It found we haven't been this cohesive since the pandemic.
Over the past few years, there was a 20-point drop in that strong feeling of national pride. Right, it went from 73 to 53% over a few years. Up to 86% of Canadians will say they feel at least somewhat proud to be a Canadian. And there's been a boost in the proportion who feel very proud.
Here you go.
At the Toronto Zoo today, that pride was on full display. And with our neighbors to the south also celebrating a birthday this week, perhaps the message of this year's Canada Day is don't poke the polar bear.
I would say that I feel more Canadian this year. There's something about a common struggle that brings everyone together.
I am definitely feeling more patriotic this year. We've put a Canada flag up, which we've never done other than just Canada Day before.
So no matter how you plan to celebrate, keep in mind, we're all in this together.
Happy Canada Day.
Corey Baird, CTV News, Toronto.
Look at that flag flowing. There's so much to be proud of, and Canada Day is so fun. You have the entire summer in front of you.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a great day, and it seems like the weather should cooperate.
It should. You know, tonight we've got some showers, we've got some thunderstorms. We'll show you that one more time on our satellite and radar just to bring you up to speed. Might see conditions dry out a little bit in the GTA before another round of showers moves back in. So there's what that looks like. Just for fun, I wanted to take you across our beautiful country in case you're traveling for Canada Day. There's a look at what you can expect closer to home. Here's your forecast. You know, a chance of showers or thunderstorms again tomorrow afternoon after a bit of a cloudy morning, but we're going to clear out in time for fireworks. And then the first week of July is looking mostly sunny and fairly seasonal. Already eyeing the weekend for maybe a round of showers, but ahead of that, nice weekend to enjoy summer vacation. Michelle and Raheem.
Oh, yes. Happy holidays, everybody. Wonderful. Thank you, Lindsay. That's it for us, but you can join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Zarada Alman with your next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and the whole team here, thanks for watching and have a great night.